The foreclosure notice was printed on yellow paper. Somehow that made it worse, like they were trying to make bad news cheerful. I stood there on my childhood porch, staring at it flutter in the April breeze, thinking about how many times I'd warned them this would happen. My name is Kira, and I'm the responsible one, the reliable one, the boring one, if you ask my sister Annika. I'm 30 years old, and I've spent approximately 29 of those years cleaning up other people's messes. Kira, you're early! Mum's voice carried that artificial brightness she reserves for neighbours and church gatherings. She yanked the door open before I could reach for the handle, blocking my view inside. We weren't expecting you for another hour. Traffic was light. I gestured to the notice. Were you planning to mention that? Her smile flickered but held. Oh, that silly thing. Just a misunderstanding with the bank. Your father's handling it. Right, like he handled the credit card debt, the second mortgage, and Annika's temporary loans. I stepped past her into the house, noting the pile of unopened envelopes on the entry table. The sight was familiar. I'd spent my teenage years sorting through similar piles, paying bills while Mom attended Annika's dance recitals. Dad sat in his usual spot, newspaper raised like a shield. Princess, didn't hear you pull up. The notice on the door, how bad is it? The newspaper lowered an inch. Your mother said, I don't care what Mum said, I want the truth. Mum fluttered into the room, hands twisting her pearl necklace. Kira, please, it's Sunday dinner. Can't we just have a nice meal without you interrogating us? Where's Annika? She's running late. Mum's eyes darted to the stairs. She's been working so hard on her new business venture. New business venture, of course, because the boutique, the food truck, and the life coaching certification weren't enough. I walked to the kitchen, muscle memory guiding me to the drawer where they kept important documents. It was empty. Looking for something? Mum's voice had an edge now. The mortgage statements, the ones you've been hiding. We haven't been hiding anything. How dare you come into our home and... Your home? I laughed, the sound harsh even to my ears. For how much longer? Dad finally abandoned his newspaper fortress. Now, Princess, we didn't want to worry you. We've just hit a rough patch. Define rough patch. The front door slammed, and Annika breezed in, designer handbags swinging. Sorry I'm late. Traffic was insane and... Oh, hey sis, you're early. I turned slowly, taking in her new highlights, expensive clothes, and perfectly manicured nails. Nice bag, Gucci, she beamed. Good eye, it was a total steal. I'm sure it was. How's the new business going? Amazing! I'm this close to breaking even. Mum and Dad have been so supportive. They remortgaged the house, didn't they? For you. The room went silent. Mum's pearls clicked faster. It was an investment, Dad said quietly. Annika's business plan was solid. Was it? Like the boutique, the food truck? Annika's face crumpled. That's not fair. I'm trying my best. And I'm trying to understand how you all let this happen. I grabbed the yellow notice from my pocket, smoothing it on the kitchen counter. Final warning before foreclosure, due date 6 weeks from today. Mum stepped forward, voice honey-sweet. Darling, if you're so concerned you could help, you've always been so good with money. Stop! My hands were shaking. Just stop! I begged you not to co-sign her loans. I offered to help with financial planning. You told me I was being controlling, remember? Well, you were being a bit intense, Annika muttered. Intense? I laughed again. I was being realistic, and now look where we are. Where we are, Mum said sharply, is having a family crisis, and instead of helping, you're standing there judging us. I looked around the kitchen where I'd learned to cook because Mum was busy with Annika's activities. At the table where I'd done homework alone while they attended her competitions. At the family that had always treated me like a backup plan. You're right, I said quietly. This is a family crisis, and for once I'm not going to fix it. I walked out, ignoring Mum's calls and Dad's weak protests. In my car, I sat gripping the steering wheel, thinking about karma and consequences and yellow notices that changed everything. My phone buzzed, a text from Annika. Don't be dramatic, come back inside. I started the engine instead. I had 6 weeks, a decent savings account, and a lifetime of reasons to make things right. Just not in the way they expected. You did what? Soleil nearly dropped her wine glass. We were sitting in my apartment 3 days after the Sunday dinner disaster. They remortgaged the house for Annika's, what is it this time, crystal healing workshops. Digital marketing consultancy? I corrected, refilling her glass. Apparently she's an expert now. After 2 months of YouTube tutorials? Soleil shook her head. And let me guess, they expect you to swoop in and save them? My phone buzzed again. The 15th text from Mum today. I turned it face down. They haven't asked directly yet, but Mum keeps sending these passive-aggressive messages about family duty and how some people have more resources than others. Show me. I handed her my phone. She scrolled, her eyebrows climbing higher. Wondering if you've thought about your poor father's blood pressure since Sunday, she read aloud. The stress isn't good for him. Wow, she's good. Keep reading. Annika's been crying all day. She says you hate her. Oh, please. Soleil handed the phone back. Your sister's 30 going on 13. 26, I corrected automatically. Whatever, she's old enough to... A knock at the door interrupted her. I wasn't surprised to see Mum standing there when I opened it. She'd done this before, showing up unannounced when I didn't respond to her texts quickly enough. Hi, Mum. She pushed past me into the apartment. You've been ignoring my messages. I've been working. Hello, Mrs. Robinson, Soleil called from the couch, raising her wine glass in mock salute. Mum's lips tightened. She'd never liked Soleil, probably because Soleil had a habit of calling out her manipulation. I need to speak with my daughter, privately. Actually, I said, anything you need to say, you can say in front of Soleil. Fine. Mum sat primly on my armchair. Your father and I have been talking about the house situation. You mean the foreclosure situation? Don't be crude. We've run the numbers, and if you could just loan us... No. You haven't even heard the amount. I don't need to. I stayed standing, arms crossed. Where's the money from the first mortgage and the second and Annika's business loans? Your sister is building something. She has vision, creativity. She has a shopping addiction and zero business sense, Soleil muttered. Mum's face reddened. This doesn't concern you. Actually, I said. It does. Soleil's been watching you drain me emotionally and financially for years. Remember the boutique? When you guilted me into investing my entire bonus? That was different. Or the food truck? When you remortgaged your car but still expected me to cover the insurance? We paid you back. No, you didn't. You bought Annika a trip to Bali for inspiration. Mum stood up, hands shaking. I don't understand why you're being so selfish. We're talking about your childhood home. The home where you made me raise myself while you focused on Annika? That home? That's not fair. We gave you everything. You gave me responsibilities. You gave Annika privileges. There's a difference. My phone buzzed again. Dad this time. Your mother's very upset. Please be reasonable. Is that your father? Mum asked. Tell him you're being difficult. I'm being realistic. The house is in foreclosure because you and Dad enabled Annika's fantasies instead of facing reality. I'm not bailing you out this time. Then you're no daughter of mine. The words hung in the air. Soleil sucked in a breath. Wow, I said quietly. That didn't take long. Mum's face crumpled into familiar tears. I didn't mean... You know how I get when I'm stressed. If you just help us figure this out. I think you should leave. Kira, please. Now, Mum. After she left, Soleil wrapped me in a hug. You okay? No. I wiped my eyes. But I will be. You know there's another option, she said carefully. The house will go to auction. You've got savings. What are you suggesting? Fight fire with fire. Buy it yourself. I stared at her. The idea was absurd, vengeful, perfect. They'd never forgive me. Have they ever really forgiven you for being more competent than their golden child? My phone buzzed one more time. A text from Annika. Thanks for making Mum cry. Again. Why can't you just help like a normal sister? I showed Soleil the message. She grabbed her laptop. That's it. We're looking up real estate lawyers right now. Time to show them what a normal sister can really do. For the first time in days, I smiled. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just a dish best served cold. It's served with a side of poetic justice. So, you want to buy your parents' house without them knowing it's you? Hugo Franklin leaned back in his leather chair, studying me over his reading glasses. That's unusual. Is it possible? He tapped his pen against his desk. Legally, yes, we can set up an LLC to make the purchase. Your name wouldn't appear on any public documents, but emotionally, that's a different question. I'm not concerned about the emotional aspect. Everyone says that. He pulled out a yellow legal pad. The auction's in 6 weeks. We'll need to move fast. How's your financial situation? I handed him the folder I'd prepared. Bank statements, investment accounts, credit report. His eyebrows rose as he flipped through the pages. Impressive for someone your age. You're good with money. Had to be. A knock at his office door interrupted us. His secretary poked her head in. Sorry to interrupt, but your daughter's on line 1. Something about ballet tuition? Hugo's face softened. Tell her I'll call back in 10 minutes. He turned back to me. Where were we? You were about to tell me if I can afford the house. He nodded, running calculations. Based on comparable sales and the outstanding mortgage, we're looking at roughly $350,000 to $400,000. You've got the down payment. The monthly payments would be steep, but with your income. My phone buzzed. Easton from work. Where are you? Client meeting in 5. Shit. I stood up. I have to go, but I want to do this. Think about it for 24 hours, Hugo said. If you're still sure tomorrow, we'll start the paperwork. I made it back to the office just as the client was being shown into the conference room. Easton caught my arm. Everything okay? You've been disappearing a lot lately. Fine, just personal stuff. He studied my face. You know you can talk to me, right? As a friend? Before I could respond, my phone buzzed again. Annika's name flashed on the screen. I should take this, I said, stepping away. Hello? Kira, thank God you answered. I need a favour. Of course she did. I'm about to go into a meeting. This will just take a minute. I need to borrow $5,000. I almost laughed. No. Please, my business is about to take off. I just need a little bridge funding. Have you asked Mum and Dad? Silence. Then, they're dealing with some stuff right now. You mean the foreclosure? The one caused by funding your previous ventures? That's not fair. And anyway, this is different. I have actual clients now. Names? Well, they're in the pipeline, but once I get my website up... Goodbye, Annika. Wait! What about 3,000? 2? Kira? I hung up and walked into the conference room. Easton gave me a concerned look as I sat down, but I focused on my laptop screen. 2 hours later, as we were packing up, he tried again. Want to grab coffee? You look like you could use a friend. I can't. I have another appointment. Let me guess. More personal stuff? I hesitated. Easton had been a good colleague for 3 years and a better friend for 2. Actually, do you know anything about real estate law? 20 minutes later, we sat in the coffee shop while I explained everything. He listened without interrupting, stirring his Americano absently. So you're going to buy their house, he said finally. To teach them a lesson? To protect myself, and yes, maybe to teach them a lesson. And after, when they find out, they'll have to face reality for once. He leaned forward. Kira, I get it. They've treated you terribly, but this is nuclear. They're going to lose the house anyway, at least this way. At least this way you get to control how they lose it. He shook his head. Just be sure this is really what you want. My phone buzzed again. Mum, Annika says you won't help her with a small loan after everything we've done for you. I showed Easton the message. His face hardened. Okay, never mind. Buy the house. Make them pay rent. I called Hugo as soon as I left the coffee shop. I'm sure. Let's do it. Come by tomorrow morning, he said. And Kira, once we start this, there's no going back. Good, I said, watching another text from Mum pop up. That's exactly what I'm counting on. I walked to my car, mentally calculating numbers, down payment, closing costs, monthly mortgage payments, all manageable with my savings and salary. 6 weeks until the auction. 6 weeks to prepare for the biggest power move of my life. Mum's latest text glowed on my screen. Family helps family. Or have you forgotten what that means? I hadn't forgotten. I was about to give them a masterclass in exactly what it meant. The auction was held in a fluorescent-lit conference room at the county courthouse. I sat in the back row, wearing sunglasses and a blazer I'd never worn before. Hugo stood near the front, bidding paddle in hand, looking every bit the disinterested property investor. Mum and Dad sat 3 rows ahead, Mum clutching her tissues, Dad staring straight ahead. Annika was nowhere to be seen. Lot 247, the auctioneer announced. Single-family residence, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, opening bid at $300,000. Hugo raised his paddle. Another bidder, a man in a cheap suit, countered. Back and forth they went, the price climbing in $5,000 increments. Mum's shoulders shook with each bid. At $380, cheap suit dropped out. Hugo looked around casually, paddle raised. Going once. Mum turned to Dad, whispering frantically. He shook his head. Going twice. A neighbour I recognised patted Mum's shoulder. Sold to bidder number 43. I watched my childhood home sell for $380,000. Mum burst into fresh tears. Dad led her out, not even glancing in Hugo's direction as he signed the paperwork. My phone buzzed. Soleil. Did we win? It's done, I texted back. How do you feel? I didn't answer. Hugo approached, holding the preliminary documents. Congratulations, he said quietly. You're a homeowner. When can I? Keys in 3 days, but remember they have 30 days to vacate unless you serve them, notice sooner. I nodded, watching my parents through the conference room window as they stood on the courthouse steps. Mum was still crying. Dad was on his phone, probably calling Annika. Want my advice? Hugo asked. Wait a few days before you go there. Let things settle. I ignored his advice. That night, after dark, I drove to the house. My house now. The porch light was on, but no cars in the driveway. I used the spare key, still hidden in the fake rock by the garage, to let myself in. The entryway smelled like Mom's vanilla candles. Family photos lined the walls, mostly Annika's achievements. Dance recitals, graduations, modelling headshots. I was in exactly 3 of them. A noise from upstairs made me freeze. Mum? Annika's voice. Dad? Footsteps on the stairs. I stepped into the shadows of the living room as my sister appeared, wearing pyjamas, hair messy. Oh, she said, spotting me, it's you. What are you doing here? I live here. She crossed her arms. What are you doing here? The house was sold today. I know. Mom called me crying. Thanks for not helping, by the way. You're not supposed to be here. She shrugged. Where else am I going to go? My business isn't profitable yet, and my apartment lease ended last month. So you're squatting. I'm staying in my family home. It's not yours anymore. Right, because some investor bought it. She flopped onto the couch. Mum says he'll probably let us rent it. Dad's going to call tomorrow and work something out. My phone buzzed. Easton. Did you go to the house? Bad idea. You need to leave, I told Annika. Or what? You'll call the new owner? She laughed. God, you're such a rule follower. Always have been. That's why you'll never be successful like me. Successful? I couldn't help it. You're literally squatting in a foreclosed house. Temporarily, once my business takes off. It's not going to take off, Annika. None of them do. You just keep failing upward because Mom and Dad clean up your messes. She stood up, face flushed. At least they love me. At least I'm not some emotionless robot who abandoned her family. I didn't abandon anyone. I just stopped enabling. Get out. She pointed to the door. This is still our house for 30 days. You have no right to be here. I stepped closer. Actually, I have every right. Want to know why? Kira. Easton's voice from the doorway made us both jump. Don't. He stood there, car keys in hand, looking worried. Soleil called me. She figured you'd come here. Who are you? Annika demanded. Someone who's trying to stop your sister from doing something she can't take back. He turned to me. Come on, we're getting coffee. This isn't over, Annika called as I let Easton lead me out. No, I said quietly. It's just beginning. In his car, Easton sighed. You okay? I almost told her. I know, but not like this. Not in anger. He started the engine. Do it right. Do it when you're ready. I looked back at the house, my house, with its warm porch light and oblivious occupant. Easton was right. Revenge, like all good things, was worth waiting for. The city code enforcement officer looked exactly how I'd imagined. Crisp uniform, clipboard, and an expression that said he'd seen it all before. We stood on the front lawn as he reviewed the paperwork. Everything appears to be in order, Ms. Robinson. Would you like me to accompany you inside? Yes, please. I'd waited 3 days since the auction, letting Hugo handle the formal eviction notice. Now it was time to make it real. We walked up to the front door together and I rang the bell. Annika answered, still in pyjamas at 10 a.m. Her eyes widened at the sight of the uniform. What's going on? Are you Annika Robinson? The officer asked. Yes, but I'm Officer Martinez from City Code Enforcement. I'm here to serve you with an official notice of eviction. You can't do that, she turned to me. Kira, what did you do? The new owner, I said carefully, has requested immediate vacancy. But we have 30 days. Not if you're squatting without permission, Officer Martinez said. The new owner has declined to enter into a rental agreement. This is ridiculous, Mom, Dad, she yelled up the stairs. Your parents aren't here, I said. Actually. She smirked. Mum's upstairs. She stayed over last night. Right on cue, Mum appeared at the top of the stairs, looking flustered. What's all this shouting about? Kira, what are you doing here with a... Who is this? Ma'am, I'm here to serve an eviction notice. Mum's face went from confused to angry in record time. Absolutely not. We're still within our legal rights to... You have no legal rights, Mrs. Robinson. You're currently trespassing on private property. We're trying to work something out with the new owner. The new owner has made their position clear, I said. Mum's eyes narrowed. What do you know about it? Have you been talking to them? Is this your doing? Before I could respond, a car pulled into the driveway. Dad got out carrying grocery bags. What's going on? Why is there a police car outside? It's not police, it's code enforcement, Annika said. They're trying to kick us out. Kira brought them. Dad dropped the bags. Princess, why would you do this? Because she's jealous, Annika spat. She's always been jealous that you love me more. That's not true, Mum said automatically, but her eyes said otherwise. Officer Martinez cleared his throat. Folks, this is very simple. You need to gather your essential belongings and vacate the premises. You have 1 hour. 1 hour? Mum clutched her chest. But all our things... You can arrange to collect non-essential items later through proper channels. This is insane, Annika stomped her foot. We don't even know who bought the house. How can they be so heartless? I felt the words rising in my throat, but my phone buzzed. Easton. Remember, timing is everything. I suggest you start packing, I said instead. You're enjoying this, aren't you? Mum's voice was ice. Our pain brings you pleasure. No, Mom, your pain brings me nothing, but your actions have consequences. Actions? Dad stepped forward. We acted out of love. Everything we did was to give your sister a chance at her dreams. And what about my dreams? You never needed help, Annika shouted. You were always so perfect, so independent. I had to be. You took everything else. Officer Martinez stepped between us. Ladies, please, 1 hour starts now. Mum started crying, Dad looked lost, and Annika stormed upstairs, slamming doors. I watched them scramble, making frantic phone calls, stuffing random items into bags. 58 minutes later, they stood on the lawn with their hastily packed belongings. Mum was still crying, Dad was still making calls, and Annika was filming everything on her phone for legal purposes. "This isn't over," Mum said. "We'll contact the owner directly, make them understand." "Oh, they understand perfectly," I said quietly. "What's that supposed to mean?" My phone buzzed again. This time it was Soleil. "Did you do it yet? The suspense is killing me." "It means," I said, pulling an envelope from my bag, "that you should have this. It's the property deed." Mum snatched it, ripping it open. Her eyes scanned the document, then went wide. "No," she whispered. "No, no, no!" "What?" Annika grabbed the paper. "What is it?" But Mum was staring at me, really seeing me for the first time in years. "You? You bought our house?" "Not your house," I said. "My house." The silence that followed was everything I'd imagined and nothing I'd expected. It felt like victory and loss all at once. "I'll have my lawyer contact you about a formal rental agreement," I said, turning to leave, "if you're interested." Behind me, Annika started screaming, Mum collapsed into Dad's arms, and Officer Martinez began explaining the next steps. But I didn't look back. Some fires you just have to let burn. 3 days after the eviction, I sat in Hugo's office, watching my family file in one by one. Mum wore her best meeting important people outfit. Dad had actually put on a tie. Annika slouched in last, wearing oversized sunglasses despite being indoors. "Thank you all for coming," Hugo said, arranging papers on his desk. "I represent the owner of the property, and we're here to discuss potential rental terms." "We know who owns it," Annika snapped, pushing her sunglasses up. Her eyes were red. "She's sitting right there." "Nevertheless," Hugo continued smoothly, "this is a business meeting. Let's treat it as such." "Business?" Mum's laugh was brittle. "This is betrayal, pure and simple." "Actually," I said, "this is consequence, pure and simple." "Kira," Dad tried, "Princess, we can work this out as a family." "No." I placed a folder on Hugo's desk. "These are my terms. Take them or leave them." Hugo distributed copies. I watched their faces as they read, Mum's growing pale, Dad's crumpling, Annika's flushing with anger. "3,000 a month?" Mum gasped. "That's highway robbery." "That's market rate," Hugo said. "Actually slightly below it." "And what's this about back rent?" Dad asked. "You've been occupying the property illegally for 3 days," I said. "That's prorated at $100 per day, per person." $900? Annika threw her copy across the desk. "This is insane. We're your family." "Funny, you didn't seem concerned about family when you were draining Mum and Dad's retirement fund for your business ventures. That was different." "How?" "Because I was trying to build something, create something. What are you trying to do except hurt us?" "I'm trying to teach you about consequences." Mum stood up, hands shaking. "We don't need lessons from you. We need our daughter back." "I never left. You just never saw me." "Of course we saw you," Dad protested. "We've always been proud of—" "When?" I demanded. "When were you proud? When I was working 2 jobs in high school to help with bills? When I got my promotion but couldn't celebrate because Annika needed bail money for her DUI? "That charge was dismissed," Annika muttered, "only because I paid for your lawyer." Hugo cleared his throat. "Perhaps we should focus on the rental agreement." "There won't be any agreement," Mum declared. "We'll find somewhere else to live." "With what money?" I asked quietly. "Your credit's ruined. You have no savings, and Annika's latest business venture isn't exactly booming." They exchanged glances. I could see the reality sinking in. "The terms are fair," Hugo said. "First and last month's rent, plus security deposit and back rent, due within 48 hours. After that, rent due on the 1st of each month. No subletting, no business operations from the premises." "That last part is aimed at me, isn't it?" Annika's voice cracked. "Yes." "Where am I supposed to run my business?" "Maybe try getting a real job instead." Dad raised his hand like he was in school. "What about payment plans? For the initial amount?" I looked at Hugo, who nodded. We can structure something, but it needs to be in writing, with consequences for missed payments." "Consequences," Mum repeated bitterly. "Your new favourite word." "It's always been there, Mom. You just chose not to hear it." Annika stood up suddenly. "I need air." She stormed out, slamming the door. "She's sensitive," Mum said automatically. "She's spoiled, and that stops now." Dad picked up the rental agreement again, squinting at the terms. "If we sign this, will things go back to normal?" "Normal?" I laughed. "Dad, normal is what got us here. Normal means you and Mum enabling Annika while ignoring me. Normal means financial abuse disguised as family loyalty." "We never," Mum started. "Sign or don't sign," I cut her off. "But understand this. Things will never go back to normal, because I'm done being your backup plan." Hugo pushed the papers forward. "You have 48 hours to decide and provide initial payment. After that, we proceed with formal eviction." Mum stood up, gathering her designer purse, probably another investment in Annika's happiness. "Come on, Theodore, we need to discuss this as a family." "Without me, you mean," I said. She paused at the door. "You made that choice, Kira, not us." After they left, Hugo looked at me over his glasses. "You okay?" "No," I gathered my things. "But I will be." My phone buzzed. "Easton. How'd it go?" "They have 48 hours, I texted back. "Want to help me change the locks on day 49? His response was immediate. "I'll bring pizza and power tools." I smiled, feeling lighter than I had in weeks. Sometimes healing starts with a deadbolt and a clean slate. The 48 hours came and went. No signatures, no payment, no contact. "They're calling your bluff," Soleil said, helping me carry boxes of new locks to the front door. Easton followed with his toolbox and the promised pizza. "It's not a bluff." "They don't know that yet." She set down the boxes. "Speaking of not knowing things, what's going on with you two?" She nodded toward Easton, who was very focused on sorting his screwdrivers. "Nothing's going on?" "Right, he just happens to show up with pizza and power tools on a Friday night because—" The sound of tyres on gravel cut her off. A taxi pulled up, and Annika got out, alone. "Great," I muttered. "Here we go." Annika marched up the walkway, mascara smeared like she'd been crying. "We need to talk." "Nothing to talk about. The deadline passed." "Mum and Dad are at a hotel," she said, ignoring me. "They're talking about moving in with Aunt Sarah in Florida." "Good for them." "How can you be so cold? They're devastated." "They're manipulating you," Soleil cut in. "Like always." Annika whirled on her. "Stay out of this. You've always been jealous of our family." "Jealous?" Soleil laughed. "Of what? The emotional abuse? The financial manipulation? The way they pit you two against each other?" "They never—" Annika stopped, noticing Easton. "Who's he?" "Someone who's about to change these locks," I said. "Unless you have the signed agreement and payment." "I have a counteroffer. This isn't a negotiation." "Just listen." She pulled out her phone, hands shaking. "I've been talking to investors about my business, real investors this time. If you just give us 3 months—" "Show me the investor agreements," I said. "Well, they're still in talks, but—" "Show me your business plan. I'm finalising the details. Show me anything concrete, Annika. Anything real." She burst into tears. "Why are you being like this? I'm trying." "No, you're not. You're doing what you always do, making promises you can't keep, expecting others to fund your fantasies." "They're not fantasies. I have dreams." "Dreams don't pay mortgages." Easton stepped forward, drill in hand. "Should I start with the front door?" Annika's tears stopped abruptly. "You can't do this." "Actually," I pulled out my phone, showing her the screen. "I can. Officer Martinez is on standby. 1 call, and you're trespassing again." "You do that? Have your own sister arrested?" "You're not acting like a sister. You're acting like a parasite." The word hung in the air. Annika's face went through several emotions before settling on rage. "You think you're so perfect, Miss Independent, Miss I never need help. You know what? Mum and Dad were right. You're just jealous because they loved me more. They didn't love you more, I said quietly. They failed you more. Every time they bailed you out, every time they cleaned up your messes, they taught you that actions don't have consequences. That's what family does. No, family supports growth. Family encourages responsibility. Family doesn't enable destruction. She lunged forward, suddenly grabbing my phone. I'll delete his number, you can't. Easton caught her arm. That's enough. Let go of me, she struggled. Kira, tell him. I'm calling Martinez, I said, taking my phone back. Wait! She slumped against the porch railing. Please, I don't have anywhere else to go. You have options. Get a job, rent an apartment, live within your means. I don't know how, she whispered. For the first time, I felt a flicker of sympathy. I know, that's their fault, not yours, but it's your responsibility to learn. Will you? She wiped her eyes. Will you help me? Not financially, not anymore, but if you want to learn budgeting, job hunting, real business planning, I'll teach you. And the house? Is mine, non-negotiable. She nodded slowly, then straightened up. I should go. Mum and Dad are waiting to hear. Tell them the truth, for once. After she left, Soleil whistled low. That was intense. You okay? Easton touched my arm. Yeah. I picked up a new deadbolt. Let's change these locks. We worked in companionable silence, the pizza getting cold. As the sun set, Easton handed me the first new key. Your house now official? Thanks, I looked at him, both of you, for being here. Always, Soleil said, then grinned. Now, about that nothing that's going on between you two. I threw a pizza crust at her, and for the first time in weeks I laughed. Real family, I realised, doesn't have to share your blood, just your values. The moving truck pulled away from Aunt Sarah's house in Florida, carrying what remained of my parents' belongings. I watched the video call as Mum supervised the loading, her voice tinny through my phone speaker. I still don't understand why you couldn't help with the moving costs, she said. I'm helping Annika with her first month's rent instead. Ah. Her lips tightened. And how is your sister? Employed, finally. I shifted in my office chair. The accounting firm liked her organisational skills. Who knew? Entry-level work, Mum sniffed. With her potential, she could be management in 5 years, if she stays focused. Mum's image blurred as she moved inside. Your father wants to know if you're keeping the house. I am. Even though we're in Florida now, it seems spiteful. It's an investment, like you taught me. She flinched at that. We did our best, Kira. Your best was pretty selective, Mum. A knock at my office door. Easton, holding takeout. I held up one finger. I should go, I told Mum. The movers have your delivery date. Yes. She paused. Annika says you're dating someone? Goodbye, Mum. I ended the call as Easton set down the food. How'd it go? About as expected. She's still trying to guilt me, just from a different state now. And Annika? 2 weeks into the job, no dramatic resignations yet. I opened the takeout containers. She actually called yesterday for budgeting advice. Progress. Baby steps. I picked up my chopsticks. Speaking of progress, Soleil's been asking when we're going to admit we're dating. He grinned. What did you tell her? That we're not dating. We just happen to have dinner together every night, and you accidentally kissed me last week. Accidentally on purpose. He reached across the desk, took my hand. Move in with me. I dropped my chopsticks. What? The house is rented out. You're staying at that sterile corporate apartment. My place is too big for one person. It makes sense. Since when are you so logical? Since I fell in love with someone who speaks the language of practicality. My phone buzzed. Annika. Got my first paycheck. Had to share with someone who'd understand why I'm not spending it all on shoes. I showed Easton the message. See, he said, everything's settling. Time for you to be happy too. I need to think about it. Of course you do. That's why I love you. The words hung there, simple and true. My phone buzzed again. Dad this time. Your mother misses you. I miss who they could have been, I said quietly. I know. Easton squeezed my hand. But you can't fix them. You can only fix how you let them affect you. That evening, I drove to the house, my house, where the new tenants were moving in. A young family with parents who both worked and kids who both mattered. I watched them arrange furniture through the windows, making the space their own. My phone buzzed one last time. Soleil. Wine night. I want to hear about this totally not dating situation with Easton. I smiled, typing back, his place? He asked me to move in. Her response was immediate. Finally! Wait, you said yes, right? Meeting him there now. I took one last look at the house. The porch light was on, but it wasn't my responsibility anymore. The weight of family obligation, of endless rescues and thankless sacrifices, had lifted. In its place was something lighter. Possibility. Easton was waiting outside his apartment building, looking nervous. Have you thought about it? Yes. And I think, I took his hand, that it's time to build something new, something healthy. His smile lit up his whole face. Is that a yes? That's a yes. As we walked inside, my phone lit up with a final text from Annika. Thank you for everything, even the hard parts, especially the hard parts. I didn't respond right away. Some messages don't need answers. They just need to be acknowledged, like the quiet victory of choosing yourself, or the subtle strength in letting go. You okay? Easton asked, noticing my expression. Better than okay. I put my phone away. I'm free. He pulled me close, and I let myself lean into him, into trust, into future. The house that held my past would shelter another family now. My story wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about reconstruction, building boundaries like walls, laying foundations of self-respect, and finally feeling at home in my own life. Sometimes the happiest endings aren't about getting even. They're about getting out, getting better, and getting on with the business of being whole.